Yo, today is June 29th. We're on pages 56 and 57. It's the features article, and bro, we got the best article. We are talking about ancient Egypt. Ushabti, good partners for the afterlife.
好，我们今天要讲的主题呢，是老师非常非常喜欢的主题。我们要讲的是古埃及。如果你非常非常喜欢什么金字塔啦、法老王啦，还有这个金字塔的这种诅咒啦等等哈，那我们今天的这个主题你千万不要错过。我们要讲的主题是乌沙布提，好啊，乌沙布提俑。这个俑就是兵马俑的俑啊。Good partners for the afterlife， 来世的好伙伴。
Okay, so Ushabti, be careful. 这个 U 不是 like YouTube. It sounds more like moon 的 U sound. Ushabti. All right, that B is a little bit 轻轻的 Ushabti. So you can practice that word, and they are your good partner. They're your good friend for the afterlife. Stress that. The afterlife is when you die and you go to, in the Western idea, we say heaven. The Egyptians did not talk about heaven. That's a Jesus thing here, okay? Our subtitle today, a new Ushabti discovery in Tanis. And so Tanis is a location in Egypt.
没错，所以我们的这个副标题就写到说，塔尼斯 Tanis 这个地方呢，发现了 a new Ushabti discovery 新的这个乌沙布提俑。所以我自己想到最贴近我们台湾的这种文化里头，乌沙布提俑大概像什么呢？大概就像是我们在这个告别式的时候，我们通常会烧一些什么金童玉女，
Yeah, that's what I thought.
金童玉女给这些祖先嘛，然后这些玉女的话，在这个地下会好好的去伺候你的祖先，所以它就有点像是这样子的感觉，金童玉女。这样的话就可以理解说，哦，它的功能是什么了。
That's exactly what I thought. You're 100% right. All right, cool. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got paragraph 1.
Ushabti, good partners for the afterlife. The mysteries and secrets of the civilization of ancient Egypt have always attracted researchers and history lovers around the world. Among them is a small statue called an Ushabti. Also known as a Shabti, Ushabtis were placed inside tombs with the deceased and their belongings. These figurines were more than just decorations. They reflected the ancient Egyptians' strong belief in the afterlife and the idea of eternal service. The main role of an Ushabti was to act as a servant on behalf of the dead in the afterlife. The statue was believed to perform difficult tasks, such as farming, digging water canals, or even doing construction work. This way, the deceased were able to enjoy eternal life free from labor. Ushabti figurines were usually made of clay, wood, and sometimes other materials. Some statues carried small agricultural tools like hoes and baskets to assist them in their work. These figurines were not limited to a particular social class. While ordinary people were buried with only a few Ushabtis, kings and nobles were often buried with large numbers to ensure they had enough help in the afterlife. Many of the statues bore inscriptions, including the name, titles, and sometimes the earthly duties of the deceased.
All right, before we begin, as always, have your pen and pencil ready. Write things down. It's a really good way to remember and review. Let's talk about Ushabti. It's related to the Egyptian word to answer. So, because when the deceased, we're going to learn that word later. It just means the dead person. The deceased wakes up in the afterlife. They can call out to the Ushabti, and the Ushabti will answer them, and they will help you in your life. They're basically, they're your servant or even a slave. And Ushabtis first appeared over 4,000 years ago. These are crazy old.
哇，所以这里的话，我们老师先提到的乌沙布提的话，其实事实上在4000年前就有了，对不对？好，然后大家提到这个乌沙布提这个字的意思就是回应、回答。你可以想象说 ，the deceased 就是指这些 过世的人到了这个地下世界 afterlife 以后呢，他一醒过来发现到，谁啊？谁来帮帮我啊？我的仆人嘞！这时候仆人就来啦，就跑来了。乌沙布提就跑来的，帮忙，你有什么需求啊？你有什么东西就会我帮忙。所以乌沙布提就很像是会回应你 to answer， 回应你的需求的这些仆人。你可以用听到 servants， 听到 slaves， 好，就是来服侍这些已经到了死后世界的人们。
乌沙布提下面写 to answer, A-N-S-W-E-R. Let's go.
The mysteries and secrets of the civilization of ancient Egypt have always attracted researchers and history lovers around the world.
没错，所以我们来看这个地方，第一句话告诉你说 The mysteries and secrets of the civilization of ancient Egypt. 哇，这句话主词很长，对不对？但没关系，我们只要把后面的 have always attracted 这个动词抓住了，你就知道说，前面的主词呢，它讲的是古埃及的文明谜团啦，跟秘密，对不对？然后吸引着，而且是不断的去吸引着 attracted researchers and history lovers around the world， 吸引着世界各地的研究者和历史爱好者。Civilization 就是指这个文明的意思。
Even in our ancient world, when we think 2,000 years ago, or like maybe, a little further back, even they knew about ancient Egypt and they're like, wow, this is interesting. So even the ancient world thought the ancient Egyptians were cool.
Yeah.
Among them is a small statue called an Ushapti.
So we already talked about the word Ushapti. Let's look at the word statue. 这个 T-U-E 发 C-H-U 写下来 a statue.
这个 statue 的这个地方 T-U-E 的这个 T 呢，要特别注意它的发音 statue。可能大家最有名的就是 The Statue of Liberty。
The Statue of Liberty. That's right.
就是自由女神嘛，对不对？好，所以这句话他提到说 among them， 这个 them 有点意思咯。因为这个 them 是指前面那句话里面的主词 The mysteries and secrets of the civilization of ancient Egypt。 所以在这么多的谜团啦还有秘密之中呢，其中一项是什么？ Among them is a small statue called an Ushapti。 好，就是我们说的这个乌沙布提俑。所以这个地方的话，我们知道 among them 跟前面那句话主词的关系，这样整句看下来就很清楚咯。
Also known as a shapti, 就是没有 u 的话 Ushaptis were placed inside tombs with the deceased and their belongings. So a tomb, O-M-B. Remember, 当你有 M-B 不可以发那个 B, so it's tomb, and 它也是那个 U 的发音 like Ushapti. 请写下来 moon 在下面 so you know how to say that vowel. And the deceased means the dead. Now, D means no, and cease means to stop. So they are stopped. This person doesn't move anymore. They are dead. Deceased means stopped.
没错。所以这边这个地方还有几个重要的字词汇呢，老师刚刚讲了。第一个就是 tomb。tomb 这个字的意思是坟墓，然后这个 b 的话是不发音的 ，OK， 然后这边注意一下 tomb 这个字，然后它的那个母音的话是 moon 那个长音的 u 的那个声音 tombs， 然后第二个就是 the deceased。好，这个地方要特别小心的是 deceased 就是指 stop 意思，这个人已经不会动了。你也可以说 the dead， 好，死者、亡者，还可以这样讲。但事实上 deceased 这个字好像听起来比较没有那么直接的感觉。所以在这边的话，你看到这句话说 also known as a shapti。Ushaptis were placed inside tombs。 好，他们这个乌沙布提俑呢，他们会被放在这个坟墓里面 with the deceased。 好，会跟这个死者 and their belongings。belongings 就是他们这些遗物放在旁边，这些类似像陪葬品一样一起放在里头。
So tomb also sounds like the word room, R-O-O-M, because that's what a tomb is. It's a little room where you put the deceased. If you know the word grave, 就是 grape, 就是不要 P, 你要写 V, grave, that's a hole you put the body in. A tomb is a room for the deceased. These figurines, like doll is the wrong word because dolls are soft. These are a little bit like hard wood dolls. Were more than just decorations. They reflected the ancient Egyptians' strong belief in the afterlife and the idea of eternal service. So eternal means forever.
所以在这边的话，我们来看这句话里面的一些重点哦。 figurines 就是老师刚刚所讲的，好，这种雕像，就是我们刚刚讲的 little statue， 对不对？好，这边的话，但是它是比较硬的。如果你提到 doll 的话，感觉是比较软的那种娃娃，可以抱，可以这样子，那种感觉。但这边的话，他说 these figurines were more than just decorations， 这些小雕像呢，可不只是一些这种装饰品而已哦。They reflected 就是它反映出了什么 ？The ancient Egyptians' strong belief， 他们反映出了这个古埃及人对于什么事情的坚定的信仰呢 ？In the afterlife and the idea of eternal service。好，在这个地方，永生奉献还有坚定相信会有来世这件事情呢，它可以从这个地方反映出来。
So in English, we have a chenyu called "You can't take it with you." That means it's kind of encouraging the very, very, very rich to spend their money and especially to give it to poor people. The phrase, you can't take it with you means enjoy your money now when you're alive because when you're dead, it doesn't do anything. But the ancient Egyptians, we probably know, definitely did not believe in that. You can take it with you if you put it in the tomb with the deceased.And so you needed to take those things and make sure they were with you. Kind of just like you said, you can burn the house and the whatever, and you can take it with you in the afterlife.
没错，所以老师呢刚刚介绍了一个词 ，you can't take it with you， 就是这么多财富你死了也带不走。可是呢，对一个古埃及人来说，不，我带得走，我就可以把这些东西变成金银财宝，放在我的这个棺木里面。我死了之后，因为我相信 I believe in the afterlife， 好，就因为我相信会有来世，所以我要准备很多的仆人。事实上，在这个中国的这个秦始皇有很多的兵马俑，也是同样的概念。他到了地下之后，我需要我的军队，不是一样的逻辑吗？
They're really big, and these ones we'll learn. They're about the size of your cell phone. So if you think of your cell phone and you put it in your hand, most Ushabti were like your cell phone. Basically, your cell phone, they're round and they look like a little mummy. That's what it is, okay? But the Qin Shi Huang had really big ones. What are those called? The terracotta warriors?
Terracotta warriors.
There we go. Oh, those are interesting too. Okay, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got paragraph 2. Hey friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We are on pages 56 and 57. It's day 1 of the features, and we're talking about Ushabti or Shabti, and these are little statues or figurines that would help you in your afterlife. They would carry sand. They would spread seed. They would dig canals. They would do all of the hard work that you didn't want to do yourself. You're deceased, you're dead, and now you get to take a long break with your, take a long, forever, eternal break, and you got your little Ushabti to help you. That's a pretty nice deal.
没错，所以说想象一下，如果说今天你是这个王者的话呢，你现在什么事都不用做了，什么事情都有人帮你做好了。好了，老师刚刚提到的说什么不管是挖个运河啦，播种啦，好，开始去这个种植物啊，各种你不想做的事情，有人帮你做，那就是乌沙布提，也是我们说的乌沙布提俑。好，在这里的话，实在是听起来感觉还不错。
The main role of an Ushabti was to act as a servant on behalf of the dead in the afterlife. Now, we said the dead. What's the other way to say that? Deceased. Sheishalai. D-E-C-E-A-S-E-D. Deceased.
没错，所以在这边的话，第一句话告诉你说 ，the main role of an Ushabti was to act as。当你今天提到 act as 或者是 serve as 都可以，就是用来作为什么什么东西。serve 的拼法是 S-E-R-V-E， 你可以说 serve as。所以他说乌沙布提俑呢，它主要的功能、主要的这种作用是干嘛呢？好 ，to act as a servant on behalf of the dead in the afterlife。所以在这里它是代替这个王者呢，来充当他的这个仆人、仆役或是奴役等等。在这个地方，我们看一下 the dead， 就是老师刚刚所讲，你也可以说 the deceased。好，也可以。刚刚在第一段有出现过这个字。
The statue was believed to perform difficult tasks such as farming, digging water canals, or even doing construction work because you didn't have that in the afterlife. You needed to still do that work in the ancient Egyptian idea of the afterlife, the world after you die. And why do it yourself when you can have these ushabti do it for you? This way, the deceased were able to enjoy eternal life free from labor. Labor just means work, but especially hard physical work.
没错 ，labor 这个字呢，通常提到是那种很累的那种劳力活，所以在这里的话 ，labor 这个字就是 work， 尤其是那种出体力的这种活，更是这样做。在这边的话，我们看到这句话说 ，The statue was believed， 好，这样的这个小雕像呢，是被大家相信说 to perform difficult tasks。Tasks 就是一项一项的工作任务 ，such as farming， 好，不管是耕种啦，或者是什么 digging water canals， 好，去挖这些水渠啊，甚至怎么样 ，or even doing construction work， 甚至做这些建筑工事、盖房子啊等等，他们搞不好都会，对不对 ？This way， 这样一来的话呢 ，the deceased were able to enjoy eternal life。Free from labor， 好，就不用再做这些苦差事了，对不对？就不用那么劳动，那么辛苦，这些仆人都帮你打点得好好的。
Now, canal, Anthony already translated it, but let's use a little English. A canal is a man-made river just designed to make farming a little easier. We want to move water from here to here, but carrying it in a big bucket is very heavy and hard work.So the little man-made river called a canal brings the water to you.
没错，所以就要灌溉的时候，你去那边提水啊，然后再来灌溉，很累嘛，所以就挖一个人工挖的这个渠道，然后那个东西呢，就叫 canal， 小小的运河水渠，把水引进自己的农田，这样就轻松多了。
Anthony says it so clearly. 你不要加强第一个音节 canal. You stress the second syllable. Draw a little line there. Canal. Make that clear.All right, with that, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we got paragraph 3. Hey friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We're on pages 56 and 57. We're learning about ancient Egypt and the afterlife. What did the deceased do when they died? And the answer is they had little ushabti, or Shabti, and these were servants. They helped you do construction work. They built things. They dug canals, little man-made rivers. They spread seed and they carried tools. They did all the hard work you did not want to do when you were alive. And so these little guys will answer you and do your work for you. Let's take a look. Ushabti figurines were usually made of clay, wood, and sometimes other materials.
好，我们来看这一段哦。所以刚刚老师前面提到说，如果说今天你不想做这些劳力活的话，ushabti 会帮你做，不管是耕种啦等等。所以接下来我们会看到一些耕作的这种用具等等。在这边我们看到第一句话，他说 ushabti figurines， 好，乌纱布提俑呢 were usually made of clay, wood.And sometimes other materials， 他就提到这个材料，乌纱布提俑是什么做的？老师刚刚提到说，它感觉上是比较硬的，对不对？不像这个娃娃一样是可以抱、可以这样子抓的这种。他这边提到是用这些 clay 粘土，或者是 wood 木头 ，and sometimes other materials， 有的时候还会用其他的材料去制作而成。
That's right. In fact, some of the oldest ones were made of wood and stone. Let's continue. Some statues carried small.agricultural tools like hoes and baskets to assist them in their work. And so you didn't just get an ushabti that looks like a mummy. They also had tools. They were ready for the job. So you have agricultural. That means farming tools. A hoe digs a hole. It's a long stick and it has a piece of metal and you can slam it and pull the earth with and make a canal.And a basket, of course, you know, is just like basketball. And those were woven out of reeds.
没错。所以在这边的话呢，他就告诉你非常非常多细节的部分。他说 ，Some statues carry small agricultural tools。好 ，agriculture 的话呢，它是指农业这个概念。我们把后面的 e 去掉，变成 al， 就变成形容词。你看到的这个 agricultural tools 就是农具。他们有些雕像会是带一些小型的农具啊 ，like holes。And baskets 好像是锄头，老师刚刚就介绍到锄头，对不对？然后还有这个篮子 ，to assist them in their work， 这样去可以帮助他们在工作的时候更加的方便。
These figurines were not limited to a particular social class. Eventually. At first, yes, like only pharaohs and nobles, very, very rich people had these. But then they became extremely common where, like, imagine you go to a museum and there's something very rare and expensive. Will they let you touch it? No, of course not, right? But ushabti, like, you can buy them. You want an ushabti? Here we have so many. Please take some. They're not even that expensive. So that's how common they became. And so they were not limited to the very rich. Even the poorest person could have an ushabti in their tomb.
没错，所以在这边的话就告诉你说，哦，怎么样这样的观念怎么样演变，变成说一般人他们都会去帮自己安排 ushabti 来去服侍未来的自己，对不对？好，在这边他就提到说了 ，These figurines were not limited to a particular social class. Social class 就指社会阶层或社会阶级，不只是限定于特定的社会阶级，不只是王公贵族而已。好，一般的平民百姓他们也会安排 ushabti。While
ordinary people were buried with only a few ushabtis, kings and nobles were often buried with large numbers to ensure they had enough help in the afterlife. Now, maybe some of you are wondering, like, well, what about, like, if they had, like, things inside their tomb and someone found them? We know that grave robbers existed in ancient Egypt. Why didn't they take the ushabti? Because they were made of clay, wood, and rock. Like they were not valuable at all. They were extremely common. So the expensive things were stolen by grave robbers and they left the ushabti. That's why they're so common today. And you hear me using ushabti as bukashu. You can use them as kushu, ushabtis also. Just be careful. You might hear both. The word noble means people who were in the highest social classes, but they were not kings or pharaohs.
所以这里的话呢，他提到这个 nobles 这个字就指贵族，但他们不是国王，也不是法老，好，他们其实事实上也是一个重要的这个 social class 社会阶层。所以你看到这个地方，他提到这个字 ，while ordinary people were buried with only a few ushabtis。好，在这边的话提到说 while 代表他要讲两件事情。当然你会看到一般人 ordinary people 就是平凡人、一般人，他们会有一些伴随着 ushabti， 好，在变成他们的陪葬品。然后呢，他说 kings and nobles， 好，不管是这种王公贵族啦，好，他们也会were often buried with large numbers， 好，要有很多的 ushabtis 跟他们陪葬。To ensure they had enough help in the afterlife， 这样他们在死后的世界里面随便叫好多仆人来服侍他。
That's right. King Tutankhamun, King Tut, he had 400 ushabtis. So he had like regular workers, and then he also had special ushabtis that had whips. They would boss the other ushabtis around. Like, what a terrible way to spend the afterlife. Imagine being an ushabti, you're like, okay, I'll help this guy. Now you got ushabtis that just whip you all.
那我要当拿鞭子的那个。所以老师刚刚提到图坦卡门，你可能听过这个埃及的这个非常有名的王图坦卡门，他本身有400个 ushabti， 好，有这样子的这种俑。然后其中呢还有分类哦，有的是负责工作的，有的是负责在背后鞭策这些工作，这个工头的这种感觉哦。Okay.
And buried with a whip. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's continue here. Many of the statues bore inscriptions. That means you slowly cut your name into it, including the name, titles, and sometimes the earthly duties of the deceased. So this would give you a little bit of a history of a person that is long dead and that is really valuable to us today.
没错，所以这边的话，我们看到一个字叫做 bore， 这个 bore 其实是 bear 的过去式。好，那我今天提到 inscriptions， 往往是在这个金属上面用一刀一刀慢慢刻的这种文字，那个叫 inscription 铭文。所以在这边呢，你听到说 many of the statues bore inscriptions， 它的许多雕像上面都刻了这些文字，这些铭文呢，它里面包含了什么样的讯息 ，including the name、titles， 啊，死者的姓名啊，我是属于谁的 ushabti 啊，等等 ，and sometimes the earthly duties of the deceased， 有的时候还要记录说这个死者他生前是做什么行业的，他的工作是什么。
All right, with that, we're out of time, but we have day 2, even more ancient Egypt. So don't go anywhere. For Enjoy English School, I am Chris Gorski.
I'm Anthony.
And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.